Hello, I'm W.T Edmonson. Welcome to Focus. Freedom often causes unbelievable silence. Of course, Focus intent is to inform, educate, and motivate our viewers to action. Our guest today is Mr. Joe Johnson. He's the president and CEO of the Telein Group, and he's also serving as the 2013 Lincoln University commencement speaker. We have him here in our fair city, and so we wanted to take an opportunity to talk to him about his experiences at Lincoln University, his experience in the military, and his experience in the corporate world. So we will get back into our conversation. Joe, again, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
We were talking about your organization. What is the purpose of your organization, and what do you basically seek to do?
Right. I mentioned that our focus is around personal leadership and organizational change, and our focus is around providing organizations leadership and organizational principles for abundance. And it's this idea in a world of scarcity, and we all believe it's not enough. You know, we won't be enough and won't have enough, and so the world is full of that. But I believe that there are abundant possibilities if we understand the world, the universe, and also if we're spiritual people, if we understand that, you know, God made it abundant for us. He didn't make it in a scarce way for us. Mm-hmm. Now, so how do you get that? And I think that leadership, thinking, and action is a way to get that. And what happens is over my years, I've developed through experience and in various organizations, a framework for working with people on that. And something I'm deeply passionate about. This is our 25th year anniversary this year. Mm-hmm. But I worked in major corporations first. I worked in a food business. I worked in retail business. I worked in another food business. I worked at Xerox. And people always talk about those as being different, but what I saw was sameness. It just happened to be a different endeavor. Mm-hmm. And so whether you're in education or whether you're in maintenance or whether you're in sports or whether you're in retail or engineering, the key is the principles are the same. People are the same. Leadership is the same. Maybe a different product or different service. And I think I learned that between those varied experiences and the military. And also, I've been married 44 years. And I thank God for that. And we've moved 11 times. So we've lived all over the country. And so I found that the more experiences I had, the more I realized there are certain principles that I thought were missing. And through that diverse experience, I began to develop those principles and practice them. Before I started my own business, I was a vice president at Xerox Corporation. And when I figured out how to do that, and then I figured out that the old saying, it's lonely at the top, I figured it really is lonely at the top, and a lot of people don't know where to reach. And I thought that after a while, I thought I could offer some thoughts and advice for that. So what we do is we observe, we leaders, we advise them, we teach them, and we facilitate them, working on themselves and in their organization. But again, it's the principles of abundance that are key. Mm-hmm. And abundance is based on the concept of integration. Integrate. If you want to be fragmenting is not the answer to abundance. If you want to make anything abundant, integrate it. Mm-hmm. And so that's been the underlying principle that I've been searching for and using and developing and refining over 25 years. Mm-hmm. And still remain passionate about it.
As I visited your website, the three areas that are very visible: vision, integration, and abundance.
That's exactly right.
Could you lock those together for us?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And others can visit the website as well. It really is, you know, the word via, V-I-A, means to go, all right? Mm-hmm. So if you really want to go, we say that abundance starts with the concept of vision. Start with an end in mind. Have a dream, all right? But then that dream must be integrated around all of the things that are necessary in order for it to be abundant. All right? So you need the creativity, the desire, the passion for vision, but you need the discipline to integrate. And once you have the discipline to integrate, then you have the possibility of abundance. And so that's the framework, is VIA, which is vision, integration, abundance. And I think that often people are missing one or the other. In fact, they're missing all of them often. They are focusing about next week. They are not thinking about it. They're thinking about it in a fragmented way, and they're getting what they were thinking about, which is limited results. All right, and I think that so it's really, I've just come to know this. I wish I'd have known this years ago, but I've come to understand that it is about vision. In fact, let me say, and I'll probably say something about this also on Saturday. Life and organizations and success is really about two fundamental things. When you take everything away from it, it's about two things: purpose and relationships. Purpose and our life, it's about purpose and relationship. When you take everything away, everybody talks about all these other things, but it's two things: purpose and relationship, for our lives, for our organizations, all right, for our communities, and so forth. Now, what is that? Purpose is really around the idea of being clear about vision, mission, goals, so forth and so on. And that's so important. And it takes discipline, it takes passion, it takes creativity, but that's one part of it. But that's not enough. Then there's an intricate web of relationships that are necessary to achieve your purpose. Now, what happens is we have some people that are clear about their purpose, no relationships, and they wonder why they're not successful. We have a lot of people with relationships, but not clear about their purpose. And one of those won't do. But the idea is if you focus in that direction, that's why vision and the framework for vision is so important, and then you integrate. And the integration is around making sure that everyone that has a stake in what you're trying to do know that they have a critical and important role in it. That's the relationships. And so so that becomes the framework for all of the things that we do and what I often speak about. So when I say to the kids is two things: purpose and relationships. All right? And so I think that is just at the core of what I think is the key to this concept of abundance.
As a founder of the Telein Group, you had a very key responsibility that I'm sure you spent a great deal of time on, and that is selecting your key personnel. How did you go about doing that? Again, I think it was a lot of God winks and a lot of coincidences that allowed me to have, same thing happened in organizations. Sometimes we don't know how we meet people, where we meet them, and so forth and so on. But I think it was just through these experiences. Remember I said I moved 11 times? Right. So I got to know people in a lot of places. And so happens when I started an organization, I realized that I knew people, people who had worked with me inside of organizations, and a few had interest in venturing out with me on this idea of starting this concept called a Telein Group. And the word Telein, people often ask me what it means, and it means to complete or fulfill. And I wanted a name that represented what we were trying to do. And so over time, I found that it's just a series of coincidences. Somebody I knew in some city told me about this, and that's the same way I've gotten my clients as well. I thought I was going to have to advertise. I've been blessed not to have to advertise. But because I lived in all these places and I knew all these people, people have guided me through whether it's a client or through an employee. So it's just been something I wish I could take full credit for, but I think that God's hand has been somewhere all around me. Okay. We talked about the fact that your previous experiences prepared you for that ultimate venture, venturing into your own business. What do you say to people who feel they have a tremendous idea, they don't quite know how to harness that idea and put it down in a business plan. What do you say to those individuals, how to go about taking that idea, developing that idea, and then implementing that idea?
Well, first of all, it's hard work. And we've heard it over and over again. We do best that which we enjoy. So if we could find out on a deeper level what it is that we really enjoy, then that's would be a great step, because it is hard work, and we're going to stay with it more if we enjoy it.
Right.
And so that's a real key. And that journey to find that thing that we enjoy is not an easy one either. You know, we're taught different things. You know, sometimes our degree gives us a paradigm. If I said I only could be in education because I got an undergraduate degree in education, I got a master's in education, I never would have ventured out into business. Mm-hmm. Now, it so happens that my education background I probably use more today than ever, but not as a teacher in a traditional classroom. Mm-hmm. I use it inside of my my business, observing, facilitating, teaching, advising others. So I think the key is finding that thing you enjoy. And I think that it's a struggle for people, so many people. And I found, I read a survey somewhere that said over 65% of the people working today do not enjoy what they're doing. Now, just think about that, 65% of the people working. So we say, well, why are they doing it? And in a lot of cases, they don't know. Their parents told them to major in this. Everybody else was doing this. Somebody else did this. All of a sudden, I've been here. I'm making too much money to quit, but I really don't like it. Mm-hmm. All right? So we find a lot of people. So I always say, we talk in California, a lot of the road rage is people coming from jobs that they hate, and you cut in front of them, next thing you know, they explode. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot of stress and frustration. And so once you get in it, you don't know how to get out. And you think I'm making too much and so forth and so on, and I can't, you find all the reasons you can't do it. But I do believe that the key is finding that. In fact, one of the things that, I don't know whether you can be able to see it on the camera, if I can.
Go ahead.
All right, is that when I talk about people finding their purpose, there's a first circle, if looking at it, is the idea of what is it your background and your experience. What is your background and your experience? So let me draw that circle. And that is who we are, our background, experience, our personality, our nature, our nurture, all of those things, all right? So you got to take that in mind, but that's not the only thing you take in mind. What we also need to know is what is it that we're deeply passionate about, all right? So we may have this background experience, but I'm deeply passionate about the political arena. Mm-hmm. I'm deeply passionate about fairness. I'm deeply passionate about ecology. I'm deeply passionate about children. I'm deeply passionate about medicine, whatever those things are. All right? So what is it that you're deeply passionate about? All right? Now, that's the second overlay. But then there's a third overlay circle, and it says, what does the world have a deep hunger for? Mm-hmm. What does the world have a deep hunger for? All right? So if we can take our background, our experience, our nature and nurture, if we then can say, what is it that we're passionate about? And then we say, what does the world have a deep hunger for? And when you overlap those three circles, the bullseye is right there in the center. Mm-hmm. All right?
Yeah.
But that means you got to know yourself. You got to learn more about yourself. You need to explore more what I'm really passionate about, not be blocked by where I grew up, the classes I took, the influences that I had. That was part of it, but it wasn't the only part. Right. Deep inside of us, God has given us a purpose, is what I really believe. Now, what the idea is that the key is, what is it that the world needs that your passion and your background and experience prepares you for? Mm-hmm. And I think if we can just look at it in, again, a holistic way, more integrated way, as opposed to in a fragmented way. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably, in fact, that's what I would say to someone who's struggling. And I run into people all the time that are struggling for what it is that I really want to do. Mm. But their paradigm is they're stuck in what they're doing.
As you look at, having worked in various parts of the country and even outside the country. Is there more similarities than differences when it comes down to it all?
It really is. I think it's a great question. And I found, I talked about earlier that I worked in food business, I worked in the retail business, I worked in the manufacturing business, I worked in another food business, and people kept talking about how different they were, but I kept seeing sameness, all right? I saw that organizations or an organization or an organization, and people behave in organizations similarly, no matter where they are, all right? So that was a big take. But then when I started working in a global marketplace, people said to me, well, if you are from an Asian culture, you really don't want recognition. Or if you're from Hispanic culture, you really are less reticent about speaking up. If you come from a black culture, you have certain things. And if you're from a white culture, you're from Germany or so forth. And I found that it kept me on my learning journey that says, I think that's true. And what I found is that we all have a basic need for recognition no matter where we are and who we are, all right? And the most important thing about recognition, the most important way to give recognition is give people a voice. I don't care what country you're in, what business you're in, I don't care whether it's young kids, a baby wants to be recognized, all right? A baby wants to be recognized. What do? They cry. If you don't recognize them, the eyes of a baby, if you take your eyes off of them, they may start crying. We want to be recognized. God gave something, God wants to be recognized, but he gave us something that requires us to be recognized. And organizations that learn to appreciate people and what they need, in my mind, will do well in the global arena. And see, years ago, it used to be a corporation that was here in the United States corporation, that was a German corporation, and now we have global corporation. Right. They just happen to be headquartered in one place. And what did they figure out? They figured out that basically all over the world, the need is the same. You need to learn to appreciate people so you can collaborate with them and learn the principles of integration and recognition and all of those things.
Okay. Moving a little bit further here, you and your wife, Julie, have been major supporters of Lincoln University over the years, both physically and financially. Why is this so important to you?
I go back, and first day, freshman orientation, I met Julie. Her father was a business manager here, and I worked several jobs. I was the campus mailman, was one of the things I did for a number of years, and I found that, and they were usually run by the business office or something, so he gave me a job, and I think he was preparing me to marry his daughter, the fact that you need to be working. And so Lincoln has just been a wonderful place for me. It is, best friends. My best friends are one of my employees now. I met here in 1964, who taught and retired and now works with me, Robert Rashad. My best man in my wedding was from here, people that I went on fraternity with. So it's just a wonderful, my in-laws were here. So Lincoln is special. And I've learned that, giving is one of the keys to abundance as well. I often use the quote, and it's somebody else's quote, but I often use the quote, we make our living by what we earn, but we make our life by what we give. And I've found it is really true. The more you give, the more you receive. Mm-hmm. And I found that I just find that it's hard for me to give Lincoln. It would be impossible for me to give Lincoln too much. Mm-hmm. So that's what that's what I feel, and that's why I feel that one of the purposes of a Telein Group, and the purpose of being married to Julie, and the purpose of impacting the world is to add more value to Lincoln. And so that's a key. And in fact, another thing I'm going to maybe say I got so much to say, and I'm sure the kids are saying, I hope he doesn't say all of that. But the key is that purpose is really a key in life. We hear about goals. You know, you need a goal, you need this, that, and the other. But success is really about being purposeful. You know, I talk about purpose in relationships. And I found that someone told me some time ago, in fact, I first heard it from my daughter. She'd heard it in church. Our purpose is about others. Our goals are for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm a vice president. I have my own business. You know, I got a degree. Well, that's goals. They feel all right. But our purpose is now, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? Because we were put on this earth to make a difference for others. That's where we say that God gave all of us a purpose. Whatever that thing is, it's really about now, how are you going to add value to others? And Lincoln has been at the center of what it is I do, but not the only thing that I do.
Okay. Over the years, you have worked with a number of presidents of Lincoln University. On June the 1st, 2013, Dr. Kevin Rome will become the new leader of our alma mater. I was very impressed with Dr. Rome when he came for his interview, speaking with the alumni. I was very impressed with him. I would say that there's a very important relationship between an institution of higher learning, and I would call it an enterprise. I think too often, too long, institution of higher learning has put themselves in a box of saying, I am an institution of higher learning, and not focus on being a business enterprise. And as a result, many things go wanting. Many things are missed. What do you say to incoming president, students, about the importance of treating the institution as an enterprise?
Well, I'm excited for Dr. Rome. I think it's Dr. Kevin Rome, and to come to I think this precious place, and I think Lincoln University is special. I think he has a lot to learn from Dr. Mahoney and Dr. Henson and Dr. Rayburn and Dr. Franks, and so that's we have a rich history. Oh, you know, going all the way back for me is Dr. Dawson, but I hear about others. You know, Dr. Young and Dr. Scruggs and so forth. So one is a rich history. I think that what I would say to first of all, it resonates with me what you said. And a university is an enterprise. It's part of a whole. So you cannot try to separate it from the whole and then have abundant visionary results. The key is, how do I integrate it more with the wholeness of Jeff City? How do I integrate it more with the wholeness of the state, of the country, and of this globe? You see, the more abundant thinkings, you know, they have locations everywhere.
Right.
All right, we have students here from all around the globe. So it's, first of all, thinking of it in an enterprising way, and that is great possibilities. We need more people trained. We need more research. We need all of the things. Dr. Mahoney, one of her favorite terms was the bleeding edge at Lincoln University. Not the leading edge, but she was always, I remember her talking about the bleeding edge. We're way out in front. And that's the kind of visionary thing that's needed. So I do believe that it is an enterprise, but it's part of a whole. Vision, integration, abundance. I believe that Lincoln has abundant possibilities, but I believe that Dr. Rome, I would suggest, needs to make sure he starts with a passion. He went after the job for a reason, to really make a difference. It's not just a goal to become president. Now, what are you going to do now that you're president? All right? What's the purpose of Lincoln University? What's the purpose of his leadership? And so I really do think is getting clear about purpose and know that there's this intricate web of relationships. Students happen to be one of them, but it's also people who are in maintenance, who cut the grass, people who do clean the janitorial staff. They're all part of this abundant possibilities. And if you can get them to see their critical important role in your vision, you have great possibilities.
You know, Lincoln University has a history of not having received adequate funding from the state of Missouri. Now in these difficult economic times, that becomes even more difficult.
Right.
Corporations who once were more benevolent when it comes to giving to institutions of higher learning, the clamps have come down. Right. How do you suggest, especially historically black colleges and universities, change that paradigm to the point they understand where they are at this particular time and what they need to do to be successful in this economy?
Yeah, I think it's a big and important question, and I really, the paradigm we need to change is that we're small, we're only historically black college, we're only can reach the people in this area, we only can find students from here. We need to say we're part of this global possibility. The world is flat today. Mm-hmm. So that means that we can reach any place, anytime, in seconds, you know, not weeks and days. And so, first of all, historically black colleges, I believe, have abundant possibilities, but you got to move up to begin to think about vision. Money follows ideas, all right? If we're short of money, if you and I are short of money, it's because we don't have the ideas, because the money is there. Mm-hmm. The money is there. Now, why is it that we could get it, somebody would want to give it to us, we're in some other place? And I think that's what Lincoln or other universities have to do, even in corporation. It's me, when they talk about the down economy, the up economy, and in 25 years, what I've found is that if the economy is doing well, they need me. Mm-hmm. If the economy is doing poorly, they need me. Mm. And that's what I think that education is. No matter which way it is, they need you. Now, what you need to do is find the vision that will attract the resources that you need.
Mm-hmm. Getting close to closing here, one final question. Football, basketball, band, even JCTV have come into a situation where there's not enough money to do what you need to do, how you need to do it. There are always threats out there to say that you may lose this, you may lose that. You have to drop a position here or drop a position there in order to continue to exist. What do you say to an institution of higher learning, understanding that finance, money are not always abundant, but the job still has to be done? What do you say?
Well, finances are not abundant, but possibilities are. All right? There is the possibility of abundance in a world of scarcity. And it's a big idea. And what I believe is that we always find pockets of abundance. You know, Victor Thomas, the track coach here, you know, somebody would have said, well, Lincoln can't have the #1 track team in the country, or compete on a national basis. Our band can't be this size, and our football team, you know, we lost a football team, so we can't do X, Y, or Z. And I think what I'm feeling excited about is I hear the coach Mike Jones is thinking about it differently. Playing in a tough tournament, I heard him say, if you want to learn, if you want to be better, play the best. And that's an interesting paradigm. It's a good way to think about it. All right. And what I would say to in this day and time where resources are short but possibilities are bigger, I think it's changed the way you think about it. Look at it in a more visionary way, and look at where you can make a difference. And I still think that we still look at it as, you know, people question our reason we should be here and all of those things. But I don't think that's the majority. The world needs us. And I don't care who questions it, the world needs us. And I believe that we can prepare for that. And I believe that the resources will find you if you bring a great product or great service or a great experience to it.
Okay. Joe, it's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope that you have an opportunity to visit Lincoln University commencement exercise Saturday and hear what he has to say to the students. We really enjoyed what you had to say to us today. We've been talking with Mr. Joe Johnson. He's the president and CEO of the Telein Group out of Los Angeles, California. Thank you. We'll see you next time. God bless.